Oh boy. Good morning, everybody. Ah, life is so beautiful. Oh, life is so beautiful. Good morning, everybody. By the way, if you like this, all these animations as well, definitely follow and hit up at a girl say. Definitely makes awesome stuff. Blah, that's one of the reasons why the intro's a few minutes, because I like to showcase the other talented individuals. We got Grizz with the intro. We got Say Girl with the banner, the animations, the cool stream starting soon, Evil CJ show, talk show, the architect with the music. It's about community, bro. Or lady, sorry. That's what I'm about. That's what I've always been about. Sorry. Am I feeling better? Just a small amount. I kind of feel like, and I apologize now about not being on yesterday. I woke up yesterday. I'm like, man, I feel like I got COVID, but I'm testing negative. I don't know. So I'm probably like 70%, but it's Monday. I relaxed yesterday. Even though I don't feel good, it's all right. We're still going to get into it. Thank you for the laugh right away in the morning, Blah. I appreciate that. like it matters. Like it matters. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Kib. Thank you for hopping in, Detective. Appreciate you, Deborah. Thank you for hopping in, Kelly Miller. There's Sweetness, Brandywine, and True Crime. So I apologize if I'm sniffly, if I got to blow my nose. What's up, Melissa? Thank you for hopping in. I apologize, or if I'm on and off camera quite a bit, um, you know, I apologize. I'm pushing. What's up, Ed Stacy Cruz? What's up? Thank you for hopping in, Jacqueline. Thank you. Got a bunch of stuff to go over just because I haven't been on much. Plus, we got the body cam stuff tonight. I will be taking the next test. I cannot take until after the show. So, after the show's over, I'll be able to take the next test. But here's the thing. Every time that I was working around people that were like testing positive left and right with the last go round a couple years ago, I was always tested negative, but I would get these same symptoms, like the same, like felt like a flu. It could be a badass flu. I don't know, but what I do know is it's badass because normally I don't get sick. My immune system is kicking, and it's been like 5 days now, something like that. So it's a doozy. What's up, Lynn? Thank you for hopping in. Oh, I appreciate you. But you know what? I had rest yesterday. We got work to do. I got a lot of catching up to do. I'm not trying to fall behind. I got another read through for you guys too. If you're not familiar, and please go check this out if you're not familiar with this highlight that I made. This is an article read through I did of the Mark Carver case. And it's a 45-minute video. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do. It's so important to not only this case, but all cases, period, with TouchDNA, period. Especially this one. I don't know why nobody's talking about it. I don't know why nobody's covering it. Please, people, cover it. Talk about it. You know, like, share the video. It needs, like, this case is so we did an episode on it. That's just a highlight of the article I read through from the Exoneration Project. Here's the show. No, that's a highlight. Let me go to the. I'll share the link to the actual show where we like talked about it too. It's so similar to what can be going on, and with it not even having it reached a point where they're picking a jury, the stuff that's being talked about and put out there before that even takes place, obviously it's gonna affect, like, who is not gonna hear about this case. So it's super important that people talk about this case. Mark Carver, Ira Yarmolenko, that people talk about it, like reference it with Idaho. This could be happening. Mark Carver could have been the 2023 BK. You know, it's that simple. It's so... Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate you. No, Melissa, it's coming back. It's coming back. There's people out there with... Because it was weird. It was like, I was at the store a couple days before I started feeling weird. It was like last Monday. I was at the store. I was at the store for a few days last week. I was at the store, and I seen a couple people wearing masks and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I hope not. I'll be taking the next test after the show. What's up, Crystal? Thank you for hopping in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's making a comeback. There was a nurse that actually warned me. Oh, gosh, this was like 2 months ago. Heads up. Coming back. I'm like, whatever. Whatever. It's gone. It's gone. No, it's not. It's coming back. All right. There's something I want to get into. We went into this real quick here before we get into some of this other stuff. I showed you guys this last week. And this was a post that was sent to me from Stormos, Storm_OZ2023 on Twitter. So there's the Twitter handle. I'll share the page of the post right here. And it says, did you know that Moscow has medical amnesty that protects anyone who ODs or reports an OD from being prosecuted if they call emergency personnel? So let me zoom that in for you real quick, because it's very important that I show you this before what I'm going to show you. I'll get rid of my face too. You can read it right there, right? Okay. This is important. Okay. What's up, Dakota? All right. So with that being said, all right. I'm going to share a couple videos with you guys real quick, because when I did my Fresh Notes, Old Notes show last weekend, last Sunday morning, not this Sunday that we just had yesterday, the Sunday before that, I had spent like 4 hours going through the 2,000 some videos I have saved, went through from the first video to the last, and all the ones that stuck out to me or were referenced to the Fresh Notes, Old Notes, I put in a folder. And I brought this up for a reason. Now, the sick bug hit me, and everything's been all over the place, including the cloudiness of being sick too. But there was 2 videos, not to mention, I think I came into about 200 videos I ended up saving for the Fresh Notes, Old Notes. And not that I have all the ones that I would need. That's why I'm saying if you want to send me some when we go through it, yeah, of course, send them to me, because I might not. But there's a couple videos that were kind of going along with this, and kind of, it was going to be leading up to a show I was going to kind of get into more this weekend. But I'm going to get into it this morning just for a small amount of time. But I'm going to show the 2 videos, and it was important that I showed that tweet from last week when we went over that, because when you hear these videos, we're going to go back to this tweet. So give me 1 second. Here we go.
And welcome to this early edition of the Sunday News at 5. I'm Doug Petcash. We begin with breaking news out of North Idaho. Students at the University of Idaho were asked to shelter in place earlier today. The University of Idaho says Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road, which, as you can see, is very close to campus. They say police don't have a suspect yet. Around 4 o'clock, the university posted on social media that the Moscow Police Department doesn't believe there is an active threat. The school has lifted the shelter-in-place requests, but asks people to remain vigilant.
We're not to the good stuff yet. Just wait. You know what I mean? You got to lead up to it, right? You got to lead up to it. Vandal alert. This is when they came out with the unalive, self-unalive that I've been talking about this whole time. Okay? It gets better.
After 1 o'clock today, the university had sent an alert asking students to stay away from the area and to shelter in place. Again, that shelter in place has been lifted. According to the spokesman review, Moscow police say the initial call was for an unconscious person, and police are now investigating it as a homicide. We'll continue to update this.
Mm-hmm. And right there, right? We're not to it yet. Just hold on. He just said, what? What'd you say, sir?
Has been lifted. According to the spokesman review, Moscow police say the initial call was for an unconscious person, and police are now investigating it as a homicide. We'll continue to update.
Okay, right? Okay. Hold on. I showed you the tweet. I showed you this video. Two things. Pay attention.
Okay, so the big news story over the past couple of days has been the homicide investigation happening in Moscow.
2 things.
An unthinkable tragedy within the University of Idaho community. Crime is an element of this industry we don't usually cover here on the 208, but there's an element of this story that has been stoking frustration, both up in the small college town and down in the Treasure Valley, with families who have kids going to the school at the University of Idaho. The biggest component has been a lack of information coming from investigators. And here's what we do know. Just before noon on Sunday, Moscow police got a phone call, a report of an unconscious person in a house off King Road. When they got there, they found 4 U of I students dead, killed, they believe, with a knife or some sort of edged weapon. We know the FBI is now involved. We know no weapon has been found and nobody has been arrested. Nobody is in custody. Yet the city and the police have said there also wasn't any threat to the Moscow community, believing this to be an isolated, targeted attack. It's that last part that has a lot of people confused and questioning how this is possible. There's apparently someone walking around willing and able to use a knife to kill 4 people, but that threat ends inside that house? The university president has told students and staff if they need to go home, they can. Their absence from class would be excused a week before Thanksgiving break. And that may have put a damper on some fears, but it hasn't helped answer many of the questions or with the frustration in trying to find them. Andrew Bartline is live in Moscow right now. And Andrew, we just wanted to talk to you today about the mood. You've been up there since yesterday, the mood in Moscow, and that can't be easy, seeing as so many took the president up on his offer of leaving town.
Yeah, and that was the first thing we saw when we pulled in. We were kind of late to the game because a lot of the stations up here covering this are in Spokane. We had a long drive to get here, and by the time we got here, people mostly had left. We did talk to a woman as she was getting out of her house, packing her car. She lives right next door. She said she was the last of her 6 roommates to leave town. She's driving one of her roommates to the airport, and then she's driving back home to Homedale, Idaho. So a lot of people in this neighborhood are gone. Campus is quiet, and we talked to students who are still here. They say that academically, they feel they need to be here for their own reasons, but a lot of them said that they don't understand how these data points connect to where they're safe, but no suspect is in custody. It
gets so much better. Hold on.
Points to make sense of, Brian.
Up there, Moscow police and the city, they're not beholden to the media when it comes to what they can and can't tell us, but
it keeps
there are families
getting
up
better
there with students who want to know what's going, whether their kids are safe, for those that kind of stuck behind. So what's been the difficulty in getting information from law enforcement?
Well, I mean, we've gone to the police department and tried to talk to them face to face. They say the captain's not there, who's sort of in charge of being the public information officer for this investigation. So we come to the scene and ask the people on scene, is the captain here? They say the captain's not here. And it's difficult to get a hold of him through phone call because if he's not in the office, when we're at the police department, we're certainly not answering his phone there either. There was a moment earlier today where that captain went through and called back a lot of media members and answered some questions, but a lot of the details still weren't sorted out. Really, all we got confirmed from that phone call was they are looking for a suspect, and it kind of started and stopped there. There wasn't a whole lot more other than that. I guess we do now know that the unconscious person that they originally responded to is among those 4 that are dead. We did get that confirmed as well, but what? That's kind of been it outside the press releases. It's been very hard to get information.
And I understand they have an
office when we're at the police department. We're certainly not answering his phone there either. There was a moment earlier today where that captain went through and called back a lot of media members and answered some questions, but a lot of the details still weren't sorted out. Really, all we got confirmed from that phone call was they are looking for a suspect, and it kind of started and stopped there. There wasn't a whole lot more other than that. I guess we do now know that the unconscious person that they originally responded to is among those 4 that are dead. We did get that confirmed as well, but that's kind of been it outside the press releases. It's been very hard to get information.
And I understand they have a job to do. We want to let them do it. But again, we feel like there's some information that we could share with the public, let them know, kind of clarify some of these, as you said, these data points that don't kind of line up. And I know this next question I have for you, Andrew, is a difficult one. Just being in that town, being part of that community, you went to school not very far from there. You've spoken with some of the friends of some of these people, or at least some people who are very connected to this. This has got to be one of the most difficult things for them and for this community.
Yeah, you said it. I went to school here. I grew up here. I mean, my whole life has been between Spokane, Sandpoint, Moscow, Pullman. You talk to the people that knew them or went to school with them. I went to college with an older sister of one of them, and I'm talking to my friends from school who are very close with the older sister, and it's tough, Brian. It's tough, and a lot of these people are really struggling to make sense of it. I got a phone call from a friend who lives in Dallas, Texas. They left Pullman, Moscow area 3 years ago, and they're tearing up, and they don't know what's happening. They're concerned, and they're asking me what's going on, and I would like to tell them, but it's tough to get that information. And again, law enforcement has a job too. We totally understand that, but the vibe around here is weird, Brian. It's weird. You walk around campus, there aren't people around. It's quiet. The few people that will talk to us, they're kind of fidgety. They're a little concerned. I said, like, they don't feel comfortable here, trying to understand how these data points connect. There's no suspect in custody, but you're supposed to feel safe. Well, they don't feel safe. And it's the only thing I can compare it to was the Tyler Helinski situation at Washington State that I experienced as a student. It is very similar to that. It is very, very odd. The difference is that there's no ongoing threat in that situation, but the way people are acting, the way people are talking, it's the only other thing I could possibly compare this to from my experience.
This is all the damn truth, yo.
All right, Andrew. Thank you very much for what you're doing up there today, and
It's
for
all
tomorrow
the
and what you have
damn
been doing up there. And I
truth.
understand maybe we can get some more information, understand kind of how this plays out going forward. But again, thank you very, very much, and we'll keep checking in with you should things get updated or anything come through.
Did you guys catch all that? I'll play it one more time.
Leaving town.
Yeah, and that was the first thing we saw when we pulled in. We were kind of late to the game because a lot of the stations up here covering this are in Spokane. We had a long drive to get here, and by the time we got here, people mostly had left. We did talk to a woman as she was getting out of her house, packing her car. She lives right next door. She said she was the last of her 6 roommates to leave town. She's driving one of her roommates to the airport, and then she's driving back home to Homedale, Idaho. So a lot of people in this neighborhood are gone. Campus is quiet, and we talked to students who are still here. They say that academically they feel they need to be here for their own reasons, but a lot of them said that they don't understand how these data points connect to where they're safe, but no suspect is in custody. It's a difficult data points to make sense of, Brian.
Up there, Moscow police and the city, they're not beholden to the media when it comes to what they can and can't tell us, but there are families up there with students who want to know what's going, whether their kids are safe, for those that kind of stuck behind. So what's been the difficulty in getting information from law enforcement?
Well, I mean, we've gone to the police department and tried to talk to them face to face. They say the captain's not there, who's sort of in charge of being the public information officer for this investigation. So we come to the scene and ask the people on scene, is the captain here? They say the captain's not here. And it's difficult to get a hold of him through phone call because if he's not in the office, when we're at the police department, we're certainly not answering his phone there either. There was a moment earlier today where that captain went through and called back a lot of media members and answered some questions, but a lot of the details still weren't sorted out. Really, all we got confirmed from that phone call was they are looking for a suspect, and it kind of started and stopped there. There wasn't a whole lot more other than...
You guys missed it. Here we go. This is the big part. All of it from the tweet up till now, it was all just nothing but truth.
More other than that. I guess we do now know that the unconscious person that they originally responded to is among those 4 that are dead. We did get that confirmed as well.
Confirmed. So I'm going to go back to this again. No. Listen to him one more time. This is here. Let me go back to the video.
Not answering his phone there either. There was a moment earlier today where that captain went through and called back a lot of media members and answered.
No, this was with because I got this tweet right around when I was doing my old notes, fresh notes folder that I made, last Sunday. And that first video is one I wanted to play too, because that also had a bunch of stuff in it. But That's it. It goes along with this tweet here. Did you know that Moscow has medical amnesty that protects anyone who ODs or reports an OD from being prosecuted if they call emergency personnel? And then what do they refer to them as when that takes place? An unconscious person. So then when you have this guy here says that the only thing that they have confirmed, because that's what I was leading up to with the whole thing of it is that they're not getting information. They've tried reaching out, getting information. They're not getting information. They're talking to people that are willing to talk. He mentions multiple times the pinpoints don't line up. The dots don't make sense. People are reiterating the same thing in the community. It does not make sense. Why are we not getting information? Why are the dots not connecting? This is not just Andrew from KTVB7. This is the community. And this is right when everything was going down. And the only thing out of all of this stuff about these people saying they can't get information, they reached out by phone, multiple ways trying to reach out. They're not getting any information. The only thing that they can get confirmed is what?
But a lot of the details still weren't sorted out.
Is
really all
what?
we got confirmed from that phone call was they are looking for a suspect, and it kind of started and stopped there. There wasn't a whole lot more other than that. I guess we do now know that the unconscious person that they originally responded to is among those 4 that are dead. We did.
The unconscious person, this is the, out of all of this other stuff, we can't get a hold of them. We can't talk to them. They're not giving us information. They're not talking to the community. Stuff's not making sense. But you have confirmed. Right? And if you have medical amnesty in Moscow, Idaho, what do they get called in as? Or referred to on a report? Unconscious. Was one of the roommates originally called for a frickin' OD? And how in the hell, if that crime took place and all of that stuff went down, how in the hell do you call it in for a frickin' OD unless there was a bunch of something around, maybe? But if it was as messy as what coroner says, well, then how could it be called in as an OD unless you already know the amnesty law in Moscow, Idaho? Was the OD call really because you thought it was an OD? Or Was the OD call an OD call because you didn't want your frickin' name to be out there and you knew you would be protected if you called it in as such? Why again the 8-hour gap? Why again the 8-hour gap? Shout out Storm OZ and KTVB7 Andrew and all the anchors on that. Now that you understand what I'm trying to point out, I'm going to play those 2 videos again, and I want you to hear the... We're getting nothing. We're getting nothing. We're getting nothing. We're getting nothing. Something don't match up. Something don't seem right. Something don't seem right. What we do have confirmed. That's why we're not getting the 911 call. That's why. We're never going to get the 911 call, no? All right, let me play it again real quick. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate it.
And welcome to this early edition of the Sunday News at 5. I'm Doug Petcash. We begin with breaking news out of North Idaho. Students at the University of Idaho were asked to shelter in place earlier today. The University of Idaho says Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road, which, as you can see, is very close to campus. They say police don't have a suspect yet. Around 4 o'clock, the university posted on social media that the Moscow Police Department doesn't believe there is an active threat. The school has lifted the shelter-in-place requests, but asks people to remain vigilant. Just after 1 o'clock today, the university had sent an alert asking students to stay away from the area and to shelter in place. Again, that shelter in place has been lifted. According to the spokesman review, Moscow police say the initial call was for an unconscious person, and police are now investigating it as a homicide. We'll continue to update this story as we learn more.
Okay, so the big news story over the past couple of days has been the homicide investigation happening in Moscow. An unthinkable tragedy within the University of Idaho community. The crime is an element of this industry we don't usually cover here on the 208, but there's an element of this story that has been stoking frustration, both up in the small college town and down in the Treasure Valley, with families who have kids going to the school at the University of Idaho. The biggest component has been a lack of information coming from investigators. And here's what we do know. Just before noon on Sunday, Moscow police got a phone call, a report of an unconscious person in a house off King Road. When they got there, they found 4 U of I students dead, killed, they believe, with a knife or some sort of edged weapon. We know the FBI is now involved. We know no weapon has been found and nobody has been arrested. Nobody is in custody, yet the city and the police have said there also wasn't any threat to the Moscow community, believing this to be an isolated, targeted attack. It's that last part that has a lot of people confused and questioning how this is possible. There's apparently someone walking around willing and able to use a knife to kill 4 people, but that threat ends inside that house? The university president has told students and staff if they need to go home, they can. Their absence from class would be excused a week before Thanksgiving break. And that may have put a damper on some fears, but it hasn't helped answer many of the questions or with the frustration in trying to find them. Andrew Bartline is live in Moscow right now.
Yeah, I was just saying I appreciate you guys. I apologize that the sick bug has put a damper on me being available. and I appreciate your guys' patience. Um, there's been a lot more stuff. I'm really behind on all of this stuff, so I apologize, but I am going to be pushing through. I'm feeling a little better, not much, but I got plenty of rest this weekend, and I just wanted to apologize to you guys for not being available as much as I usually am the last 5 days. I appreciate you guys.
Right now, and Andrew, we just wanted to talk to you today about the mood. You've been up there since yesterday, the mood in Moscow, and that can't be easy, seeing as so many took the president up on his offer of leaving town.
Yeah, and that was the first thing we saw when we pulled in. We were kind of late to the game because a lot of the stations up here covering this are in Spokane. We had a long drive to get here, and by the time we got here, people mostly had left. We did talk to a woman as she was getting out of her house, packing her car. She lives right next door. She said she was the last of her 6 roommates to leave town. She's driving one of her roommates to the airport, and then she's driving back home to Homedale, Idaho. So a lot of people in this neighborhood are gone. Campus is quiet, and we talked to students who are still here. They say that academically, they feel they need to be here for their own reasons, but a lot of them said that they don't understand how these data points connect to where they're safe, but no suspect is in custody. It's a difficult data points to make sense of, Brian.
They're not talking to him. Nobody's answering.
Moscow Police
Listen to this.
They're not beholden to the media when
Listen
it comes
to this
what
right
they
here.
can and can't tell us, but there are families up
These
there.
two
with
things are
students
so
who
important.
want to know what's going, whether their kids are safe, for those that kind of stuck behind. So what's been the difficulty in getting information from law enforcement?
Well, I mean, we've gone to the police department and tried to talk to them face to face. They say the captain's not there, who's sort of in charge of being the public information officer for this investigation. So we come to the scene and ask the people on scene, is the captain here? They say the captain's not here. And it's difficult to get a hold of him through phone call because if he's not in the office, when we're at the police department, we're certainly not answering his phone there either. There was a moment earlier today where that captain went through and called back a lot of media members and answered some questions, but a lot of the details still weren't sorted out. Really, all we got confirmed from that phone call was they are looking for a suspect, and it kind of started and stopped there. There wasn't a whole lot more other than that. I guess we do now know that the unconscious person that they originally responded to is among those 4 that are dead. We did get that confirmed as well. But
And that's why I showed you the first video of what I showed you, which is why I show. And here's the link to this video if you'd like to have it, and I'll give you the link to the other one as well, where it shows that. So you can have them for your records as well. And that's why I shared this tweet last week when I was going through my show there. Very important. Okay. Like I said, I never went through my whole folder. It was like overwhelming, actually, to look at it because I had thought about it before. And when we went into that court TV episode from back then about the evidence being removed, and it brought up a lot of questions just from watching that video again, and that spawned the idea that Sunday morning for me to spend the 4 hours to get the most 200 videos that I thought would be good for fresh notes, old notes shows. And there's so much more to get into, everybody. This is why when we went through the court TV stuff a week and a half ago, this is why I was like, holy crap, we the whole evidence being removed episode from court TV, we're like, all of us were like, whoa, I don't remember this. Little teeny things. Little teeny things. Fresh notes, old notes. So it's going to be it's not going to be fresh notes, old notes, because we're going to be talking about some stuff, some updated stuff too. And we might dip back into the fresh notes, old notes stuff here in a little bit. Like I said, I got like 200 of stuff I want to kind of go through with you guys. Let me double check to see if there's any documents that are out dropping real quick, and then we'll get into the next part. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Shout out Storm OZ for the tweet there. And then Court TV for the idea to go through all this old stuff again. Let me see here. Nope. Last one is Court TV. All right, give me 1 second here. See if there's anything breaking news real quick. And I should be able to have here soon in the next couple weeks, I'll have a couple monitors so that way I can see chat and see everything that I'm running for the show. So I do apologize whenever I do go through. I am only working off of one screen, so and have been the whole time. So so whenever I do kind of do read throughs and go through different things, that I end up sacrificing on chat there. I tried using a tablet, but then the internet's been so janky, even with everything being replaced. So it just, the Wi-Fi brings it down. Let me see here. And I need the most Wi-Fi I can for you guys. All right, let me get into the Idaho4 folder and we'll get into the new stuff. So this just came out from Court TV. Nothing breaking. This just came out from Court TV a little bit ago. I want to check it out. They're talking about him returning back to court. Oh, thank you so much, Lynn. Hold on. Let me look at the YouTube chat. Number one. I love it. Thank you so much. What's up, Midnight Radio? I want to say I appreciate your hard work and your efforts, sir. For real. We came across your channel a little while ago. We highlighted one of your programs when we were talking about Delphi. And I've been checking out some of your other stuff in the background as I've been kind of sick this last week. And I just want to say shout out to you, bro. I appreciate your hard work and your efforts. Shout out to you, for real. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lynn, for the super sticker. I appreciate that so much. Appreciate that. All right, so this is from Court TV. Bryan Kohberger returns to court. You know, it's going to be the 26th. It's coming up here in a couple of days. This damn sick bug through my damn freaking... And this fire. You know what I'm saying? Like this fire from like 3 weeks ago. And then this damn freaking sick bug this last week. It's like, son of a bitch. Motherfucker. All right, yo. All right, we're going to get into this. Bryan Kohberger returns. I'm going out there, though. I don't give a shit if it's cold. And if I have to fly. If I have to fly, I have to fly. It is what it is. I'm there. All right, here we go. Court TV.
And a hard worker. On November 13th, 2022, at around 4 a.m., 4 college students were brutally murdered. Each would soon become household names, known for their deaths, but remembered for their lives. Kaylee Gonsalves, she was 21 and born in Concord, California. Her family describes her as sociable, strong, and a hard worker.
Kaylee was our middle child out of 5. She was always competitive. She was smack dab middle, so Steven and Olivia were a little bit older. Autumn and Aubrey were a little bit younger, so she kind of had to figure out where to fit in, and she definitely did.
Maddie Mogan, also 21, was best friends with Kaylee since childhood. Maddie's family says she was known for her offbeat humor and her ability to make others laugh and smile.
She was so great. She lit up every room she'd come in, and she was just so positive and fun, and we love her and miss her so much.
20-year-old Xana Cornoto grew up in Idaho and was a talented gymnast as a child. In high school, she played volleyball, track, and soccer. Xana was going to school for marketing.
Xana was such a light in my life and so many others, and she knew and understood me more than anyone. Losing her is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, and it has left me heartbroken.
20-year-old Ethan Chapin loved sports and country music. He was Xana's boyfriend, a triplet who was incredibly close to his family.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him. And I want to remind you that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
Amazingly tragic story, tragic case, but it's going to be a trial. They are going to fight it. They want these charges dismissed. Motion to dismiss October 26th, which is next Thursday. In the case of the Idaho students who were murdered, we'll see what happens there. But there's more things to talk about. First, let's take a look at the accused killer back inside the courtroom. Here he is. Once again, walking in, you know, you look at him, we all know what he's accused of, so you kind of look at him a little differently. But I think everything we learned about him is that there was always something wrong with him, always something a little odd. You know, not just like a regular guy. There was something a little different. We heard statements from students who had him.
Yes, Benny. Somebody that's either guilty and is now in cuffs, or somebody that's being accused of a crime they didn't do, like maybe Mark Carver. Yeah, they're probably acting a little odd, Benny. Just saying.
You know, not just like a regular guy. There was something a little different. We heard statements from students who had him in school out west in Washington State, and
like a quote from Harsh. I'm spitballing. You know, I'm spitballing.
It's
shout out Harsh.
It's bizarre. So how about his family? Where's his family in all this? Well, we really haven't heard from his immediate family, but the U.S. Sun spoke to the accused killer's alleged aunt, because, you know, she was anonymous. She didn't give a name or anything. And this is what the alleged aunt told the U.S. Sun. She said her heart goes out to the victims' families, but she also feels the accused killer was not well and had battled for years with mental health problems. To me, he was humble and quiet. I didn't see any violence in him. But if you're not on the right medication, you can be triggered. I think he may have snapped. I don't have an answer for why he was depressed. I guarantee he had a wonderful childhood. Michael, his dad, is a wonderful man. He was a janitor, and his wife is a beautiful woman. She's a teacher, and they worked at the same school. She questioned on how she feels he will cope if he gets life behind bars. His aunt shook her head and replied, I think he may try to kill himself. So definitely there's something.
All right. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when all of these, like, there's like a couple, Tinder dates? People saying he was getting kicked out of bars left and right. But, you know, like, remember that time period, everybody? Remember? And you had them Tinder dates where, oh my gosh, he was so rude. Right? That's what this shit reminds me of. Kind of crazy how all of a sudden it's a topic a week before the court date. And who does it come from? Doesn't come from the sister. Doesn't come from the cousin. Doesn't come from any of the family, other than somebody that was married to his uncle that got divorced. So how the fuck? This is just like picking the fucking white car out of the fucking surveillance cameras that went the route. Let's take the one article that says some shit like this and drop it in the Dropbox, and we'll have all of these other articles that could be saying something completely else. And we're just gonna push those off to the side. We're gonna take this one right here. We're just gonna drop it in the Dropbox and say, oh, guess what? BK's aunt speaks out. This shit reminds me of the creepy freaking Tinder date. Oh my gosh, he was so rude. Give me a fucking break. Vinny. Thank you, Senny. I appreciate that so much. Let me see what it is. Hold on. It's the prickly pear. Yeah, with the fist bump. Vinny. I've already reached out to you once on the show, Vinny. I'm reaching out to you like I did Nancy Grace, Vinny. I'm reaching out to you, buddy. Please don't. Please don't. I love wondering what pastel tie you're gonna wear for the evening. I love the anticipation of the pastel tie color. I love it. Please, Vinny. Stay true, man. Stay true.
Something off about him, but that's not going to be the defense. There's no defense like that. It's an alibi defense that he wasn't there. He was out for a drive by himself all night.
Pastel Peak,
baby. Back in our think tank, Bernardo Villona, Sue Ann Robinson, Ben Chu. Ben,
I'm telling you, pastel. I ain't lying. Pastel. I love Vinny. Vinny. You the man. Come on, Vinny.
And I just...
Come on, Vinny.
They've got the motion to dismiss.
I can't wear pastel
it to be
like
successful,
Vinny.
but it might give us a sneak preview of what some of the arguments will be at the trial. But from what we've heard, it seems like the basis of this defense case is that he has an alibi. And his alibi is something like he was out all night driving.
Right? The whole that's what I'm saying. The whole Tinder date, like, oh my gosh, he's so rude. Like, for real? I'm not gonna repeat those comments. I'm not gonna repeat those comments, but oh, of course, his ties are on point. I mean, seriously, pastel. I love pastel. It makes me think of like 80s, Miami Vice, the music, the cars, all that shit. Damn straight, Tiffany. You know what comes along with those colors, like refresh, like that's what comes along with them colors. Right? Right? Oh no, I'm saying it could be, but what I'm saying is Vinny always has the pastel. Always. Always.
Driving around by himself.
Vinny's the man.
That kind of sounds like what the killer did.
Those colors bring me back.
Yeah, it's not the strongest alibi we've ever heard, is it?
Oh, you guys are great.
No, not even close. Bernard, the alibi sounds like it's a piece of evidence for the prosecution.
Exactly. So, Vinny, I don't think that that's the defense that they're going to put forward, an alibi. I think what they're going to put forward is to say that the prosecution hasn't proven their case beyond.
I wonder if it has to do with Exhibit G and H. I don't know, just maybe.
A reasonable doubt. Because think about it, Vinny, if they're going to put a defense of an alibi that he was somewhere else, who are they going to put on the stand to testify about that? Is Bryan Kohberger the only person in a position to say that he was out driving all night? And does that make him and put him in a positive light? It doesn't. So I think they're just going to keep it to that the prosecution hasn't proven their case.
What if he was door dashing? Oh, well then that alibi completely makes fucking sense, don't it? You know what I mean? Right? What if he was door dashing? Oh, well then that's why he would be driving around all fucking night, no? I don't know. Just maybe. Just maybe.
It's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Maybe.
I know that's the standard and all, Sue Ann, but that's
right.
I mean, if I'm accused of being a mass murderer in the middle of the night, I would think I'd have a better story if I was factually innocent.
Why would you have a different story? Look at his face. Like he's got that explosive diarrhea. Bro. Why would he have a different story? He has a story he has because that's what he was doing. What if it was I was sleeping? Oh, well, you think if he was factually innocent, he would have a different alibi. What the fuck? What if I'm sleeping? Well, if he was innocent, then you think he would have a different alibi. What? Vinny, no. Come on, Vinny. Vinny. I'm reaching out to you like I did Nancy. I'm sorry. I had to cut ties with Nancy. I had to do it, Vinny. Please. Please, Vinny. Please, Vinny. Don't make me do it, Vinny. I don't want to. I don't want to. I didn't want to with Nancy either. I
agree with you, but I'm still stuck on the anonymous aunt that wants to be distant but has so much to say. It's like, pick a lane.
Exactly. Thank you, lady. Pick a fucking lane. You know what? Thank you. Pick a fucking lane.
Do you agree or disagree with me?
I agree with you, but I'm still stuck on the anonymous aunt that wants to be distant but has so much to say. It's like, pick a lane. Either you want to distance yourself from the case, you don't have anything to offer, or you have all of this stuff to say about his childhood, him being depressed. You don't know why he's depressed, but his childhood was great. Like, are you distancing yourself, or do you have something to say? I feel like you need.
Right. That's what I'm saying, everybody. I apologize. I've been so sick and I haven't been able to get to my shows as much as I want to. This is shit that, like, it's like all of this stuff, the smart Carver stuff, the unconscious person stuff, this ant stuff, all of this stuff needs to just be like, yo, like, let's get through the clouds. Let's get through the fog. Let's get through the confetti. And there's more that I got for you. I got another read through of an article for you guys today, too. But seriously, this is why I'm saying this is just like Tinder date. Oh my gosh, he's so rude. Oh my gosh, he's so rude. Thank you, Chris Cooper, for the sub. Appreciate you. Vinny, call me, bro. Shit. Oh, damn, Brandywine. Speaking of dumpster fire, what about the dumpster that never was checked, right? The dumpster that was allowed to get the neighbor's trash to mix all up in with it because, you know, nobody could be called, or, you know, 911 couldn't be called until damn near noon and nobody could show up. Speaking of dumpster. That doesn't really get talked about too much either. There's so many things, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that are just like, we're just gonna drop that in here. Ooh, this sounds good. We're just gonna drop that in here. Thank you for having some frickin' truth on here, lady. Because it's the damn truth. That's why I'm saying it's like this Tinder stuff. Listen, when it comes to what this aunt's saying, okay. But you know what? Consider the source. Just like anything else that you hear, all of this other crazy, stuff like a year ago, you know what I'm saying? Or 8-9 months ago, certain people coming out talking about knowing all the details and stuff. That's cool. We don't know because we're not at the water cooler either. We're not. And when you explore all thoughts, theories, and opinions like we do here, because that's how you get to the truth, then you entertain different things. But then when something doesn't make sense, okay, it doesn't make sense. It may make sense for you, may not make sense for us. But that's because we all got different puzzle pieces. But it's, when a lot of stuff sounds believable, you have to understand. Hell, we had you-know-who 3-letter word come in a few months ago and speaking a lot of crazy shit too, right? I get it. People want to believe it. People just want the truth. They want the truth so hard. They want justice so bad, and I get you. I do. That you want to believe. You want to know this is the reason why, because you've been looking for an answer this whole time. But you also have to consider the source. And the source is an aunt that was recently married to an uncle that is no longer married to the uncle, wants to remain anonymous, but yet has a lot of stuff to say like she's saying. And she said it perfectly, stay in your fucking lane. Like I said in the beginning of this show, and I've been saying for so long, and this is why we get fucking attacked over here, is because it's about the innocent until proven guilty. Period. All this shit's important. The stuff, especially the last week, that highlight video that I keep talking about this article of Mark Carver read through that's 45 minutes. The stuff needs to be put out there because it's so important. We all know, as far as we know, it could be different in a couple days, but as far as we know, this trial ain't happening for a while. So that's even longer that people are going to be hearing about this. People are going to be believing stuff. People, like I said, people want truth. People want justice. They're going to believe stuff that it's the shock and odds. What the 3-letter word did a few months ago when they came on the show, and I wasn't having it either. And you guys were getting mad at me because I wasn't having it. And then the truth came out and it was like, damn, CJ. Yeah. Consider the source. Go after what makes sense. Don't chase what don't make sense. Because the don't make sense is the confetti. The don't make sense is the cloud that's trying to get that in between you and the truth. And you don't need that. And the potential juror members don't need that either. And that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to being about actions over words. Because I could easily be like, you know what, you wouldn't believe the amount of BS and the hate just because of innocent until proven guilty. Blinders off, right? Not driving a vehicle with the front windshield only. It's dangerous as fuck, especially when you're trying to find truth and justice. It's a dangerous path when you only have the windshield. But this is why I'm stressing this so much, especially right now, because one more day is another day that potential juror members are going to believe what this aunt's fucking saying. They're not going to have all of this time like we have had. They're not going to have all of this time to go into this stuff. The time that we've put in and the time that we're going to put in, they're not going to have the time in trial. They're not going to be able to know all the information beyond what is presented like we do. So when it comes to this trial, what potential juror members already have in the back of their head is so important, because they might not have all of the information. And when you base a decision like this, when you don't have all of the information, is very dangerous. And so when you give any bits of information out there to a community that maybe they do watch some of these shows and they will be a potential juror member, at least you're speaking truth and justice. Let that be in the back of their head, not something that an aunt that might have some agenda, wants to be anonymous but wants to say a lot, has to say. Don't let that cloud your freaking vision. This is why I'm pushing this stuff so much recently. Shit, for months. But especially recently with this Mark Carver, this TouchDNA stuff. This shit ain't no joke. This shit can happen to you. This shit can happen to your family member. This shit can happen to your friend, your coworker, your neighbor. Mark Carver is a perfect example of how something like this is so dangerous. You were talking about other people's lives. The other guy that was supposed to get convicted with Mark Carver, Neil Cassida, passed away the day before the trial. You're messing with people's lives. So what? At the end of the day, all you have to say is, we tried. Or you could be like in Ann Taylor's 2017 acquittal that she represented, where the prosecution team basically said, well, we're sorry to hear that the jury didn't find the person guilty like we do, but because we feel so strongly that the person that we charged is guilty of the crime, we don't find it necessary to go find any other suspects. Putney counting. Ann Taylor, 2017. Go to my video section. You can see that one too. The shit takes place. It's so dangerous. That's why I'm sitting. I don't care. I'm going to stand up for who the hell I am. I'm going to stand up for what I feel's right. I'm not going to entertain stuff that I don't. I'm sorry. That I feel is a distraction, confetti, cloud, smoke, whatever. Don't need to. It's about the truth. It's about justice. Respectfully as well. Respectfully as well. I know other things could take place. We're talking about an OD call a little bit ago. I know other stuff can take place. But respectfully, before I can even go into it more, because I went into it a long ass time ago, respectfully to the families and the victims, I need more. I just need more. Talking about it, discussing it, having screenshots of shit that can be doctored, that's not good enough. Because you're talking about the respect of these victims and their families. That's what's more important. Thank you, Senny. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for that rant, guys. I get onto it from time to time, but this lady is so damn true. And this whole ant talk, I hope, nobody's even been sent a letter to show up to maybe be selected for jury duty, you know? And to say that nobody's heard about this case when we have people from the UK, Australia, Britain, freaking Greenland coming into the show, being tuned in to the topic, you're going to tell me that people all around the United States ain't following this? It's so important. Please share this. I know it's 45 minutes. Please. It's a long article from the Exoneration Project, and it talks about the Mark Carver case, Iri Yarmolenko. It goes through everything. There's a reason it's a long article, because it has a lot of stuff in it, and it's so important. People need to talk about it. People need to hear about it, especially with this case, especially with potential juror members. Because when you're sitting on there, you already have pressure. In that box, you already have pressure. You're going to be having a whole bunch of experts coming at you, saying a whole bunch of stuff. It took us 3 videos to go into our DNA riddle deep dive, and we still didn't come out understanding a third of it. You think that this jury's going to understand all this stuff? No. That's why it's so important. Everybody, even Vinny, I know. That's why I'm so happy that I don't have to answer to people upstairs that are a board of directors that are telling me what I can and can't and what I have to and what I need to show. That's the beautiful thing about this free journalism that we do here on this platform. But the free journalism also comes along. Well, it's not always free, let's be honest. We do pay for a lot. But you know what I mean? Free speech. But it also comes with ethics and responsibilities. Just because we don't have a manager above us doesn't mean we can run amok. Doesn't mean that we can just throw a bunch of shit out there because we could literally just delete the video the next day. You know what I'm saying? No. You can't just be throwing shit out there like crazy. There's a responsibility with this platform. This is so important right now. This date coming in 2 days. Now, even though it may be a couple years away, now it's let's get the car with all the windows available back on the road, and let's continue down this path of truth and justice for these victims. I'm going to play what this lady said one more time because it's perfect.
Story if I was factually innocent.
What's up, Aurora?
Do you agree or disagree with me?
I agree with you, but I'm still stuck on the anonymous aunt that wants to be distant but has so much to say. It's like, pick a lane. Either you want to distance yourself from the case, you don't have anything to offer, or you have all of this stuff to say about his childhood, him being depressed. You don't know why he's depressed, but his childhood was great. Like, are you distancing yourself, or do you have something to say? I feel like you need to pick a lane. If you're going to be a family member, either you're going to offer something or you're going to distance yourself. You can't do both. In terms of them offering an alibi that only he can attest to, that would be a tragic.
And that should show you all you need to know right there. That should show you all you need to know. I'm going to come out and say a bunch of crazy shit, but own up. Own up to it. And you know what? That's what I'm saying, man. Because if you're responsible and you're not about the views and the clicks, you don't even entertain this shit as much as you do. You know what I mean? You don't even entertain it. You get it in an email inbox, okay, cool. Hey, guess what? 10-minute section. This is what an aunt said. Okay. The PR, man, the spin is just the venom.
Defense. That would not be a good idea. I think their motion to dismiss, like Bernarda said, is going to go forward and say, listen, they don't have enough evidence to tie him to this place and time. And that's fine. The defense, as I always say, the defense is going to defend.
Yeah, they have to. And that's the way our system works. But Bernarda, what do you think they'll say about his DNA being on the knife sheath?
So, Vinny, I think that they're going to challenge the DNA. It may be a battle of the experts where they bring an expert in to say that it wasn't reliable. So either they go that route, or they're going to say that it's something about the collection of that sheath and how that DNA was allegedly collected wasn't in the proper protocol, or even say that possibly law enforcement planted it, but it doesn't work with the timeline because he wasn't a suspect until long after.
That's their timeline, lady. How is that going to work with the timeline if the timeline doesn't make sense in the beginning, ma'am? How would it make sense if the initial picture doesn't make sense? Well, then wouldn't that mean that everything else after that wouldn't make sense? Like I said, I didn't go to school for this shit, so I don't know.
That was recovered. So there's a couple of avenues, but quite honestly, I don't think that they're going to be successful. That is the strongest
I didn't
piece
go
of
to school
evidence
for it.
that the prosecution has against Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, it can't be one of those defenses like in the OJ case where it was planted, because they had the killer's DNA before they had his DNA to match it up. But
did I just hear that right? Okay. They're going to compare it to OJ's case. How the planted glove, right? So you're going to tell me when you got different statements about the sheath, you're going to tell me that couldn't have been put there? Not at all like OJ's planted glove. Not at all. No. Not at all. Really? So what other evidence was there at the residence other than on the sheath? What other DNA is there? Because if I'm not mistaken, right, everybody, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because it has been a long time, but if I'm not mistaken, wasn't OJ's DNA also at the scene of the crime, but not necessarily on the glove? It was on the walkway and the steps. So if you're saying it, there's no way. If you're saying there's no way that this BK evidence, there's no way it could be talked about planted like OJ's case, but you're telling me OJ had his own freaking red stuff on the walkway and the steps at the scene of the crime? Okay, what other evidence did BK have other than the sheath if we're comparing it to the OJ Simpson case? What the fuck? Am I hearing this right?
Because he wasn't
Maybe I didn't hear it right. That's got to be what it is.
a suspect until long after that was recovered. So there's a couple of avenues, but quite honestly, I don't think that they challenge the DNA. It may be a battle of the experts where they bring an expert in to say that it wasn't reliable. So either they go that route or they're going to say that it's something about the collection of that sheath and how that DNA was allegedly collected. Was it in the proper protocol, or even say,
Oh, yeah. And I'm not, yeah, on the Bronco too and everything. I'm just saying at the scene of the crime, and then they're referring to the gloves. So I'm just kind of keeping it to those two. At the scene of the crime, there was other DNA there, sir. And not at 1122. And I don't know. Maybe I heard it wrong.
say that possibly law enforcement planted it, but it doesn't work with the timeline because he wasn't a suspect until long after that was recovered. So there's a couple of avenues, but quite honestly, I don't think that they're going to be successful. That is the strongest piece of evidence that the prosecution has against Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, it can't be one of those defenses like in the OJ case where it was planted, because they had the killer's DNA before they had his DNA to match it up. But we shall see, folks. Again, next Thursday, big day in that case.
What?
And a heart.
They had the. What did
They're going to be successful. That is the strongest piece of evidence that the prosecution has against Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, it can't be one of those defenses like in the OJ case where it was planted, because.
Why can't it? Why can't it? Why can't it be like the OJ case? I don't know what the hell he's saying after this. That statement kind of confuses me. You're going to tell me it can't be discussed as planted like in the OJ Simpson case? What?
Kohberger.
Yeah, it can't be one of those defenses like in the OJ case where it was planted, because they didn't.
And then it's, I don't know, maybe because I'm not feeling good. It seems like it's like a contradiction.
They had the killer's DNA before they had his DNA to.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't understand. Maybe it's because I'm sick. I'm not feeling good. Maybe it's because I'm sick. I don't know. What a beautiful morning. I appreciate you guys being here. All right. Man, this is a hell of a fucking show today, huh? Even finding shit that just kind of sticks out. Never even watched that this morning. All right. Now there's some BF and DM stuff that I kind of want to. What's up, Silky? What happened? What's up, Silky? Thank you for hopping in. All right. We're going to get into a little bit of the BFDM stuff. Now, we talked about it earlier. Shout out again to Storm OZ for bringing up the whole Moscow medical amnesty last week. Appreciate you. Definitely going to include you in the highlight that I make after the show. So please, after the show's over, definitely check out the highlight that I'm going to put out there about all of that. Because it's a good question. And I don't know the answer. All right, so we're going to go to Harsh Reality here real quick. I want to play a video. Shout out, Harsh. Appreciate your hard work and efforts, bro. He's discussing, this was from actually today, I think, talking about the alibis and stuff. And it's going to kind of lead into something else that we're going to get into here in a few minutes. So shout out, Harsh. Appreciate you, bro.
You're being respectful toward police about the fact that they need to be tight-lipped. But if there was something you felt like you deserved to know or you should know as a father at this point, are there questions you have unresolved from the police that you feel like, hey, just throw me a bone here and let me know?
For sure. I mean, alibis, just share the alibi. If you're not sharing an alibi, to me, it tells me that you're not 100% confident that it's going to stick, or you have somebody who's going to come forward and say, hey, I don't know what he told you or that person's alibi was, but I have this information. I have something. So if you don't share the alibi, it makes it a little bit harder for us to just let those go. And I've said it before, I don't want to make victims out of just bystanders and witnesses. So I just share those things, and that would help.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well. It's a new week, baby. It's a new week, and I'm sure this is going to be an amazing one. And guess what? You're also amazing. And I hope you have an amazing week. We've got lives coming back this week. Keep your eyes peeled, because yes, the return of the Harsh Reality lives. It's been a while. It's been a while, and they are long overdue. But yes, we're going to be doing them. We're going to be doing them. Both the crime ones and the mental health ones, for those of you who have been involved in the mental health lives and have missed them. They're coming back. So yes, keep your eyes peeled. But we've got to get straight into the meat and potatoes, because we've got a lot to talk about this week, as we will be branching out and talking about other crimes as well. Today, we are going to be talking about the Idaho4 case, purely because there are some things that have sort of cropped up over the weekend. Some via email, and some of them purely because of the other videos that we've touched on. First of all, I just want to touch on the car situation, because I spoke yesterday about the Range Rover Evoque that, Kayla Gonsalves had. And I said, look, as individuals, look, we've got to try and not put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. Many people thought that the fact that Kayla Gonsalves, being a young adult, a college student, she shouldn't have had the Range Rover Evoque. And the fact that she did pointed towards a nefarious sort of lifestyle. The point of my video wasn't to say that that is completely not the case, and there's no way that she can be involved in the narcotics world because of the car that she drives. My point being is that the fact that she had that vehicle, that was her vehicle, was not proof that she had a narcotics connection or a nefarious connection to some, underworld job. It just isn't. People forget that, Kaylee was a young adult. She didn't have other financial burdens. If she had a child or children, that would be, some would argue that would be more of a financial burden ongoing than what a 2016 Range Rover Evoque would be. Some people seem to be confused on price. There's such a massive scope in price here, but that was a 2016 second-hand Range Rover Evoque, and it was likely bought on finance, and she could have received help. She could have saved, had a deposit, and paid some of it down, and the rest on a relatively low monthly repayment. And I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, it's very common to see young adults, college students, driving around in nice vehicles because finance is relatively easy to acquire if you can put a deposit down, and they have no other financial burden. They do not have mortgages. They don't have aforementioned children. They don't have an abundance of utilities to pay or existing loans that they're already paying off. This is their first venture. Their vehicle, their car, is their first venture into acquiring finance for a commodity. And you know, it's not unusual. And again, I'm not saying that there's no chance that any of these students could have been involved in a nefarious world or got caught up in something. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the vehicle, and there were so many people reaching out and saying, need to look into the vehicle, this vehicle, this vehicle, this vehicle. I was just thinking to myself, that's not exclusively a reason why we should look at other things. Now, are there things surrounding Kaylee Gonsalves that makes things look like potentially she could have been a target? Yes, there is. The fact that we've been sort of told that her injuries, the injuries that she sustained, were far worse than Madison, for instance, it almost points towards someone was incredibly angry with Kaylee. Now, it could have been, like I've alluded to previously, and that was that someone was fixated on Maddie, and when they found Maddie and Kaylee together, that almost it could have been assumed that there was something else there by that person in that moment, and they took out that rage because they blamed Kaylee for them not being able to be with Maddie. You know, it's something that my mind has tried to process. Anyway, I digress. What you heard at the beginning was Steve Gonsalves talking about the fact that, you know, we always know that he questioned people being cleared, you know, that people were cleared, he felt they were cleared too soon. But what we're also hearing here is that the alibis were not even given to him. So he was told that people had been cleared and that certain people were not involved, and yet they were unable to give
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate
the father
that.
of a victim, the explanation as to what the people were doing that cleared them, how law enforcement came to conclude that they were clear. And Steve Gonsalves, if you listen to that, I don't know whether you caught on it, but he talks about innocent bystanders. He makes some specific comments, you know, survivors, and it's almost like he is pointing at very specific individuals. And it got me to thinking, because we've ridiculed Bryan Kohberger and his alibi, haven't we? We've said, oh, it's ridiculous, it's silly. Some of us believe that, even though I can see why people can believe it to be silly, because it doesn't come with someone saying, oh, he couldn't have been doing this because he was with me. The reality is at them hours, who would have a good alibi? Who truly would have a good alibi? You could almost say that it's somebody who would have an alibi and a corroborated alibi at those early hours of what would be a Sunday morning is more likely to be the nefarious one, because it could almost be thought a normal person wouldn't have an alibi, because...
And that's what I keep saying. What if I was driving around because I was making deliveries, or I was driving around because I also was somebody that drove and dropped off students? It makes perfect sense then, doesn't it? Driving around all night. Just like people want to say, we don't know everything the prosecution has. We don't know the whole alibi either. Because to sit there and say that you're going to offer your alibi that you were driving around all night, and you're not going to offer locations, you're not going to offer reasons why you were not there at the property, of course not. There's a reason that things aren't being released as well. Yeah, you could have a frickin' white car driving all over the place because, yeah, you started out with 22,000 of them. Of course, you could have a white frickin' car driving around. But just because he says, I was driving around, doesn't mean we have all of the alibi either. I'm not saying he's got more. I'm not saying he's got less. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm just saying, coming from common sense, I don't think somebody's going to be like, yo, I was driving around without offering some kind of landmarks or locations or times during those landmarks or locations or different things, or maybe somebody I interacted with, or whichever. Don't know. It's very important. Yeah, we could ridicule this alibi all we want. We don't know the facts. Why are we ridiculing in the first place? Who needs ridiculed is where the facts need ridiculed. And that's in the frickin' PCA. Just like what I started off the show with. The community. The dots aren't connecting. We're reaching out. We're not hearing nothing. It doesn't feel right. This reminds me of Tyler Herlinsky from a few years ago. But this is different. This don't feel right. From the beginning, everybody.
Unless they're married. And
Lynn.
that partner sat up watching them all night, or they wake up frequently and could say, no, I sleep next to my husband or next to my wife, and I consistently wake up, and I consistently woke up on this night as I usually do, and every time I woke up they were there. Do you know what I mean? It's a difficult one, because you could also say that a wife or a husband, an alibi given by them wouldn't necessarily be a good alibi, because you would assume that a husband or wife would give an alibi regardless. They would potentially say that their husband or wife was around when perhaps they weren't. So any alibi given by anybody in any situation in these wee small hours of the night could potentially be questioned. So Bryan Kohberger to say, I was driving around in my car, is it really lunacy? But the point that I'm trying to get across here is, why wouldn't law enforcement be able to give Steve Gonsalves an explanation as to how they have technically said, no, these people are not involved. We've interviewed them and they are definitely not involved in this crime. How is it that they couldn't explain how they had come to that conclusion? And it made me think to myself, it's because you can't come to that conclusion. There is no explanation. Is there really a way to clear the likes of Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, for instance, from being involved? Is there a... What, because they corroborate each other's story? So was it Dylan? No, it wasn't. Thanks, Bethany. Was it Bethany? No, it wasn't. Thanks, Dylan. See, do you see what I mean here? It becomes very, very difficult to clear people. We hear about Jack DeCure as Claire. Who cleared him? How do you know he's Claire? Did Jack do it? No, he didn't. Thank you. Who are you? Jack's best friend. Again, we've got this situation where what truly makes an alibi? If an alibi is given to someone by a best friend, for instance, is that truly an alibi? If the alibi is given by the person who survived an event with you or witnessed an event or was an innocent bystander on an event, is that an alibi? Does that make you clear? So, and I say this and I talk about this in the vein that Bryan Kohberger, he could be guilty, but equally he could be innocent. And in the event that he is found innocent, someone else must be guilty. And I've said this multiple times, and people will have to start looking at other people. Who has truly been cleared? Who is rarely cleared? Because I hear so many people say, that person's cleared, that person's cleared. Are you stupid? Law enforcement have cleared that person. How have they cleared them? Please tell me down below in the comment.
And I'll take you right to it. I've taken you there before, and I'm going to take you there again. I answered the first riddle in the beginning of the show. Please check out the video, Harsh. This is the other riddle. First of all, let me go full screen on this. First of all, crime tips. Detectives are looking for context to the events and people involved in this unaliving. To assist with the ongoing investigation, any odd or out of the ordinary events that took place should be reported. Our focus is the investigation, not the activities. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these crimes. Tip line. Still taking tips. 2 more things. Are there any suspects? At this time, there are no named suspects, no arrests, and no weapon has been found. Also, who is not capitalized not? Who is not believed to be involved? Believed to be involved. Not cleared. 2, not to be involved. 2 surviving roommates, male in the grub truck surveillance video, private party driver who took Kaylee and Madison home on November 13th. The male, Kaylee and Madison, called numerous times during the early morning hours of November 13th, and the individual at the residence when 911 was called. The individual on the lease who moved out of the residence before the school year started and was not present at the time of the incident. The male, quote, or his friend, who was thought to be a possible stalker and followed Kaylee into the parking lot of a local business in October of 2021, and the female associate professor that was being falsely accused from a TikToker. That's it. Not cleared. Just who is not. Oh, it is updated. Because I'm going to tell you right now, look at this. I'm going to show you that it was updated. If they didn't have all this extra dumb stuff on it. When you go to the arrest. Okay, look at how many. This was updated 1032023 even. You got the arrest right here, 12/30/22. You have an update, an update, an update, an update. So you know it's at least updated after that as well. And it's the King Road Unaliving website there. I'll put it in chat again. Do you think that they, if any up, listen, do you not think they would have closed this down? The crime tips? If anything. I'm just saying. No, they wouldn't have. All right, give me 1 second. We're going to switch to the next video here. Now, with that initial video that I showed you guys a little bit ago, we're going to switch to another harsh episode here before we get into the next segment. I was showing you the initial, not only to show you in the beginning of the show, I was showing you the initial video before the unconscious person because I wanted to show unconscious. Boom. There's the website, whether it's up or not. Also, what he said about it being an isolated attack and that the community, remember it was from the Idaho Vandal tweet, the shelter in place was lifted. The community did not have to worry. It was an isolated attack. This is another harsh video that discusses this from yesterday.
Again, I said, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we've spoken about the actual crimes themselves, the Idaho4, the attacks themselves. And it stirred up a lot of thoughts, and people still...
DoorDash driver is not. They weren't even on the list, Lynn. That's why I'm saying who says BK what. That's why I've been saying who says BK isn't the DD. Who says BK isn't somebody else? You think the dude that took Kaylee and Madison home was the only person that was taking people home that night? Is that provider ride service? You don't no. That's what I'm saying. Who says that he wasn't a provider ride? Who said that he wasn't DD? People think that DD was cleared. Nobody was cleared. You go to all the press conferences, every single one of them, and they'll say the same kind of verbiage that they said on the website. We don't feel. It's a huge difference from cleared to we don't feel, because when you're cleared, you're fucking cleared. When you say we don't feel, then 2 days later you can be like, well, we now feel like verbiage. It's all been verbiage this whole time. That's why when we watch this old stuff, fresh notes, old notes, we pick up on all this other stuff because we weren't looking for it. Our ears weren't tuned for it before because we didn't know everything that we know now. And when we go back to the verbiage of all of the old press releases and all the old local news videos reporting on it and all the old stuff that I've collected, knowing what we know now and then listening to all of this, you pick up on the verbiage, you pick up on the twists, you pick up on the morphs of the truth, you pick up on the little freaking clues of things that they have to speak a certain way because they have to be able to go, whoa, hot potato, just like Bloom did. You have to be able to have a door you can back yourself out of when you're painting your floor. because they're painting a floor. They've been painting a floor. You don't think that they have a door that they can back out of after they're done painting that floor, everybody? The verbiage. Oh, for sure, Devil Doll. That's why I said so many times, if you compare that PCA to all the other PCAs that are out there, I've had people, so many people reach out to me and be like, CJ, please read different PCAs. Read that one first and then read just 2 other ones. It doesn't matter. Just read some. I've had people give me PCAs to read. Just do a show where you could show the difference in the PCAs. I'm like, man, I would love to. Maybe I should. Because there's always talk about this PCA and how it's kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And it's like, what other PCAs have you not read? What other ones have you not read? I knew when I was doing the live read through when the thing damn dropped. I knew then. Because I read other PCAs. I knew then. I'm like, there's plenty of holes in this, everybody. Oh, no way. No way. You're just spinning stuff. I ain't spinning nothing. Do you think being responsible with this shit is giving you guys... No, do I give you 150 of my opinion? No, I give you 100 of my opinion. I don't give you 150 of my opinion, because if I gave you 150 of my opinion... I mean, you guys all see me through when I go through my rants. You know what I mean? If I gave you 50% more of that, ooh, dangerous. It's so dangerous, so dangerous, so dangerous. All right, we're going to get into this real quick. This is about the targeting part. Thank you, Harsh. Appreciate you.
Still starting.
And I don't know if it's his audio or mine. I don't know. Let me refresh that real quick.
Again, I think it was yesterday or the day before. We've spoken about the actual crimes themselves.
Must be his.
For the attacks themselves. And it stirred up a lot of thoughts, and people still starting to, still starting. That was English, wasn't it? Still, but then starting. No, a lot of people reach out to me. I get many emails. I can't respond to everybody, but I do get many people email. And we've been going backwards and forwards. And it's been about both the order. We talk about the order with which this happened. And someone raised something. And maybe what I'm going to be saying and talking about next is purely because of my ignorance of US law. And what I will say is, some people, the way that they talk about it, and they'll go in the comments and say, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. That's right. I don't know everything. And there is some ignorance, but I'm here to learn. And when I say something, you guys can help me, and we can help one another. And that's the entire purpose of what we're doing here, to get people to learn. When they have specific mindsets and we think specific things, that can be a mistake on our part because we don't understand something. Okay, so that being said, the order with which this happened has been something that has been a bone of contention, because when we think that this person could have entered this house, they were fixated on Maddie or whatever, and they've gone into the house, they've gone upstairs, they've been caught unawares because Kaylee is there, and this turned into something that it shouldn't have been, and that could explain the knife sheath itself, because the person got caught off guard, so that spiraled into something else. That is then kind of supported by the fact that Dylan Mortensen hears something. She then hears something again. She's got frustrated because of the noises. And then we think to ourselves, right, so it makes sense that if Dylan Mortensen has potentially heard something, then did Xana and Ethan hear something? And did, as the killer has come down and gone to leave, they've sort of come face to face with either Xana and or Ethan because they had come out to look to see what the noise was. There is a problem with that. And I'll tell you why. Because on the documentation, on the court documentation, I'll put it on the screen here, it lists, obviously, the burglary charge, which a lot of people question this burglary charge. But what I can sort of ascertain is when there is a situation where someone enters into a person's home to do a crime, that is always put on the paperwork to say that this person entered intentionally into someone's home to do a crime that was premeditated. They entered in to do something nefarious. So that is almost an automatic charge. You entered into someone's home and you shouldn't have been there. And you entered there to do something you shouldn't have. So it's not that there was a burglary per se, but you know what I mean. A lot of people are asking, well, why have they put burglary? And like I say, it seems an automatic thing when they enter into a house. Anyway, I digress, moving swiftly on. Then you've got the order with which these crimes happened. So it stipulates in here the order. And people have said they believe that when that is written like that, that is the order with which things happened. So that is actually giving you what happened, the version of events. The person enters in, they go after this person, this person, this person, and this person. But then I thought to myself, but hold on a second. The order, I get, the order could be right. So if we're saying that documentation is accurate and that is the order, then why does it say that all of the victims, it was a premeditated attack? Premeditated. Now, these are all four of these are first-degree murder charges. Now, I even thought about that, and I thought, what would be the difference? And again, I'm asking because there's going to be a lot of you guys who know more than I do, and there'll be people who have the same questions, and perhaps some of you can clear this up. Because I look at it like, right, so first-degree murder is when someone intentionally goes out to commit the act of murder. And then second-degree murder is when that's not necessarily the case. Like, I would believe that if someone had entered into this house to, say, go after one specific target, and that was premeditated. The premeditation was in the planning and then the execution of entering that home to attack and kill this one person. And then they got caught off guard and it spiraled into out of control. And we've spoken about collateral damage. But I don't know again whether it's my ignorance, but I think to myself, collateral damage would not necessarily mean first-degree murder. I believe that would then mean second-degree murder because that person has not planned. There is no premeditation to it. It is something where they've entered a house and it's spiraled out of control because they've got caught off guard. They didn't know who was in that house. But then I was kind of reading more about it, and it was almost like, no, first-degree murder could be attributed to a situation where someone has the act of the attack in which they've, what they've done. They knew that was going to cause death, and that could still then be attributed the title of first-degree murder because they knew that person was not going to survive. But then I still look at premeditation, the premeditated, the planned. Premeditation means planned. They planned it. It was something that was a forethought. They before they entered that home, they knew what they were going to do, and they did it. Which, in accordance to the court documentation, that would mean that this person entered this property.
It is a good one.
Knowing exactly what they were going to do. They went in here to execute these four individuals. That was the plan. Now, this raises more questions because If that's the case, and this was premeditation, you've then got two questions here. And that is okay then. So if this was premeditation, they're putting it down to premeditation because they're saying this person entered this house and the plan was always to execute everybody in the house. Everybody. Then why didn't they? Why didn't they? Because that premeditation, that plan, in theory, didn't fail because they must have entered the house and gone up into one room and attacked, come back down, gone to another room, attacked again. So why stop there? Why stop at that point? Why didn't they go on? So then you've got to think to yourself, okay, so maybe it wasn't to execute everybody in the house, it was just to execute who was there, those four people. Because you can't even turn around and say that all four of them were premeditated if only two of them were a target. Say they were targeting Maddie, for instance, and Xana. That then the other two, Ethan and Kaylee, would technically have been not premeditated. They would have simply been either second-degree murder or first-degree murder if you want to factor in, again, the act of, attacking someone and knowing full well where that attack is going to lead. If I've got that right. So again, the thing what's thrown me completely is the fact that every single victim was classed as being premeditated.
Right.
And again, for me, and from what I can see, and I've tried to see whether there are any loopholes, like the loophole with first-degree murder, doesn't necessarily mean that a collateral damage death cannot be first degree. It just means that the act with which they commit.
Verbiage. That's what I should have made this title today. Verbiage. Just verbiage. That's it. Verbiage.
They know where that's going to end up. They know that the injuries that are sustained by this person because of you are going to lead to death. So even though it might have been something that wasn't planned, it was something because as you was attacking that person, this person came in and, there's lots of things, isn't there? Lots of things that factor into it. But
verbiage.
The premeditation angle is throwing me for a loop because I just think premeditation is premeditation. That official court document, the charge sheet, stipulates that 4 individuals were killed and it was premeditated. Am I reading into it too much? Can you guys clear it up and put my mind in a different place with it? Because I now have a question.
Ooh, that's spooky music. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Again, verbiage. This is what we're going to be going into tonight. Body cam Banfield deep dive. We're going to be starting that tonight. Sorry, we were supposed to start it last night. I just was not feeling good. Still not feeling good, but I'm not going to be having a crazy long show today. I just wanted to get on here tonight or this afternoon, get some of this stuff talked about before we get into this stuff tonight. So the link is out there. If you want, go ahead and hit the notification. It is scheduled for 7 Central, 8 Eastern, but I might actually bump it up more to normal time, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. I'm probably going to do that. And then just as a cool little Easter egg, see where the ID is? See where the ID is on the Idaho? I wonder why the ID... I wonder why... Hey, what's up? What's up, gorgeous? What's up, gorgeous? I wonder why the ID in Idaho is on the side of the body cam. I don't know. Just a little Easter egg for you. What's up, gorgeous? Oh yeah, we got bushy eyebrows over here. We got bushy eyebrows over here too. I love that picture. But let me get rid of my face real quick because this makes me think of like Reno 911. If you guys by the way, the 311 shout out earlier in the stream, I was thinking as soon as you said 311, I instantly thought of the song Amber. So you didn't play that song. So do you know what I'm talking about? The song Amber from 311? You got to, if you were shouting out 311 earlier, you got to know the song Amber. That's the song that first popped in my head. Appreciate you so much. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, that song Amber, that's the song that came to my head. I was like, how does nobody... Come on, everybody's got to know 311. But look at this picture I made you guys. This shit's hilarious. Look at that. It just makes me think like, if speaking of back in the old days, that's what made me think of the 311. But if you guys remember watching Reno 911, I don't know. This pose just makes me think Reno 911. Yes. Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you for hopping in. I appreciate you. All right, let's get back on here. I just had to show that real quick. I was like, the ID, the stance. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. You gotta have fun, right? Ooh, hey, there you go. There you go. There you go. Hell yeah. I'm sorry I'm so busy. Plus the other BS or whatever, but I wanted to make sure that I showed up this morning and showered the love back because it's important to me and I appreciate you. For real, I do. Thank you so much. Definitely rewind. Please talk about this too. Hold on. This case, if you have time, I know you're busy too, but Mark Carver's the case. I did an article read through. If you want to do the audio, I put the link in the description if you want to read the article yourself, or use it or whatever. This is so important, this Mark Carver stuff, when it comes to this TouchDNA and all this other stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's just messed up. Like, this shit can happen to anybody. And with potential juror members being out there thinking that, you know, even like what this aunt was saying is like 100% legit. I don't know. These potential juror members coming up in the future, it's just not good, you know, to hear a lot of this, this BS. But yeah, Mark Carver in North Carolina, Ira Yarmolenko. Yeah, check that case out sometime. It's definitely messed up. All right, and also check the beginning of this because it was some crazy shit. I'm surprised you guys didn't catch it at first when we first went through it. Oh, we watched that episode. Never heard the words. Yeah. Oh, well, you'll hear it. You'll read it in the article, or you'll hear it in the in the replay. Because yeah. TouchDNA. I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right, let's get to the next video real quick. I appreciate you hopping in. Well, screw watching the next TouchDNA video I had from News 5 Cleveland. We're not going to do that now. That's too much TouchDNA. But I'm going to go to Idaho4 Revealed real quick. This is an episode that I wanted to check out with you guys. And shout out to you for your conversations with Vargas. Amazing, hilarious. What a cast of personalities. Thank you so much. This is Idaho4, and this is going to be talking about DM and BF some more. Yeah, definitely check out the beginning. I need to make a highlight of that when this show's done, about the whole unconscious stuff. I'm going to have to do that when this show's over. All right, I'm going to play this episode. This is Idaho4 talking about connections where Dylan and Bethany able to call property management. They sure as hell didn't call 911 for a while. And what was it for, really? Unconscious? Or OD now, like again. Oh, they're gonna... I swear, like, these videos get me. Because, like, I literally have to spend, like, 4 or 5 days just muting out some of the music on this stuff, man. You get your wrist slapped like crazy sometimes. All right, let me get my face out of here a little bit. We'll switch it to this. There we go. That's better. I like this new camera too. All right, it says, ask yourself, why didn't Bethany or Dylan call the property manager / management? What is the name of the person or persons who regularly collected monies from the tenants at 1122 King / Queen, assigned by 1122 King LLC? Speaking of truth and transparency, they did a great episode on the background of that house. We went into it a week or two ago, checked it out for a little bit. Definitely check all of them out because you want to talk about sleuthing. That's sleuthing, yo. Number 3, if a black truck left the King Road area as seen on MPD body cam footage at 3 a.m. on the morning that the unalivings were committed, what time did the black truck enter the King Road neighborhood? We're going to be seeing some of that stuff when we go through the body cam stuff tonight. Ooh, we got some more Chief Fry coming up too. Thank you everybody for hanging out. I appreciate you. Ooh, I can get a drink of coffee. December 8th, 2022, MPD's Chief Fry press release to the public. Ooh.
First, start by explaining why this search for this white vehicle.
So we have information of a white vehicle that was in the area either during the time frame of the homicide or around the time frame of the homicide, and we are just wanting to talk to the individuals who are in that vehicle. They may have some valuable information for us, and we're looking for a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai Elantra. So any assistance you can give us, anybody that owns one, anybody that knows of someone who owns one or may have been driving one, if you could get a hold of us through our tip line or call us directly, we'd appreciate that.
They still want your tips. We saw it.
Good morning. My name's Rob.
Yeah, we talked about him a couple episodes ago for a little teeny bit. Very interesting. Resigning and retiring all over the place, isn't he?
Roger Lanier. I'm a captain with the Moscow Police Department. I'm in charge of the operations division. And today is December 12th, Monday. And I want to give you an update on the King Road homicide investigations, at least the information that we have to this point. Over the weekend, investigators still continued to sort through numerous tips, calls, and online tips in regard to this investigation. There's been a lot of questions about the white car that we've been interested in. We're looking for that car because we believe through our investigation that that car was in the area during the time of the murders. And we also believe that the occupant or occupants may have seen something. They may not know they have seen something. So we specifically want to talk to them, and we want to know who they are and what they might know or might be able to contribute to the investigation.
Of course you do. Of course you still do. He lied. It's dirty. There's no reason for the police to tell the public we believe when it's not what they believe. They don't have to tell us the truth, though, until the PCA. Good cops don't schedule press conferences specifically to lie to the public. I'm not going to make that statement. I can say a good cop can make up a legitimate untruth to get to the truth and justice for the victims. In a good way, too. In a bad way? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mark Carver. Mark Carver case. Right there. Mark Carver. Page 6 of the PCA. I'll go ahead and drop that in chat while I read this too. Let me pull it up. Here's the link to the PCA. I'm sure you have it already, but I'm going to give it to you anyway in case you don't, for your own records. It says, is it possible that the light-colored sedan carrying the occupant or occupants, possibly with valuable information, could be from the same area as described in Payne's affidavit of probable cause? Very good video about the tunnel vision that Idaho4 revealed, also made before. Let me see here. Here's a map of 1122 King Road. Okay, that's fine, Butter. But actually it was more than that. But if you were really gonna be a sleuther, Butter, yeah, let's be real, Butter. If you're gonna be that's why you need to stick to cooking shows, Butter. Go to cooking shows, go sleuth cooking recipes, because if you fuck up eggs for baking soda, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Cooking shows. Thank you. Appreciate you. But more of the PCA 5 and 6. That's the pages that they're looking at. Oh, is that all you had to come back with, Butter? I'm sorry. I didn't ban you for a reason, because I wanted to see what you had. I guess not much. Thank you for playing, though. Approximately at 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of suspect vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed, one of 22,000 in the beginning, was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Paloux River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on SR 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. That's the DeLorean. Here it comes. Right. You know what I'm saying, Kelly? I love making t-shirts. I do. I love making t-shirts, but I can't make t-shirts out of that. And if I can't make a F you. Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you. If I can't make it like what? Okay. Like for real. F you. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Hey, Butter, who is counting? Only you, because you. You know what I mean? That's why you gotta have fun. T-shirts. You gotta have fun with the trolls. T-shirts. They make. I'm sorry. That's how I get my ideas. T-shirts, right there. Oh, I'm gonna have one for you soon, Butter. Just wait. Oh, I can't wait to start my art shows because I'm gonna use my art for my T-shirts. I can't wait. In Payne's affidavit, he describes a vehicle picked up on neighborhood cameras as a white sedan. Is there a possibility a white-colored sedan located in the area described in his affidavit? Of course there is, because there's 22,000 of them that they started out with. And when I show you that you could easily get lost, like a door driver, not a case out, Vinny, because it was a Court TV episode that we were watching when I did this. Not a case out, Vinny. It was a lost DoorDash. The Moscow police and assisting law enforcement have received tips and camera footage of a vehicle from the night of November 13th, 2022, describing it as either a white or light-colored car or a white sedan as seen here. Is this the DeLorean? Or is this the one with the sunroof? The Elantra with the sunroof? Oh, shit, my mouse. Hold on. I've been so sick, I forgot to charge my mouse. Oh shit! Hold on a minute. I'm reading this. My damn mouse is dying. I've been so sick that I forgot to charge it. Son of a bitch. All right, hold on. I gotta go hardwired here. See, it's blinking at me. And that's what happens when you run a live show. You get sick and you don't think straight. I hate freaking wires, man. All right. Here we go. Don't make fun of me. The clam emoji, right? Or the call. Son of a bitch. Go figure. My backup. I don't have my backup anymore. That used a battery. All right. Fingers crossed. I don't like this wire shit. All right. It's cool. We won't be going much longer anyway. All right. I got to get a little bit of rest before tonight's show. All right. So it says the car, described as both white and light colored, traveled west on Taylor Road sometime between 2:45 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. He said only a side view of the car is visible on this footage. And that's what I don't understand. Like, you have this whole route mapped out. Here. But where is one frickin' photo that's good enough to release to the public? Where is one photo that is good enough to put out there other than what? A stock photo. You didn't even give us one. Didn't even give us one. Tell me what she spent per month. Oh my gosh. You guys are fucking crazy. I'm not being critical of law enforcement, Williams said during a recent interview with Fox. I appreciate you guys so much. What I'm saying is you must bring the public along to assist you in an investigation of this nature. On December 7th, the Moscow Police Department asked the public for help searching for the car that was seen driving close to the off-campus house where Ethan Chapin, Zaina Cornoto, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Madison Mogan were unalived in the early hours of November 13th. The mere fact that within 24 hours of the crime of these four students, they were able to identify that there was a white light-colored car in the vicinity that they needed to try to identify. You do not wait 3 weeks, says Williams. This is why the beginning of this show, I showed you guys the clips of how they weren't hearing nothing, how the community wasn't, the dots don't line up, something don't feel right. Something don't make sense. You got the main dude in the studio with the news station, the host. You can tell he's livid because he's frustrated. They're not getting information. You can tell that the reporter out in the parking lot is frustrated because he's not getting information. He says the stuff don't line up. He references a case that took place a few years back. None of this made sense from the very beginning. Of course, white, light-colored car. Because that's probably the color of the vehicle that not only dropped the girls off, that not only the DoorDash was using, but probably what a whole bunch of other frickin' people were driving around. So to sit there and say that you know the exact route, he left his apartment, forgot to shut his phone off when he staked out the apartment and had planned this out. He forgot to shut his phone off. He decided to turn left instead of right outside of his residence so he could not, let's go ahead and drive all over downtown in the middle of Pullman. And then let's go ahead and hit the highway instead of going the creepy route, which there's barely any surveillance the other way by the airport. And then you're going to drive all around Moscow, all over inside downtown too, all over neighborhoods and stuff. And then when you get there, you're going to drive around and look around like Joe Dirt. Of course, you're going to have white cars. You knew where there were white cars and a whole bunch of them, or quote, silver cars, light colored car as well. White or light colored, silver at night. You already knew that from the beginning because you saw all those vehicles driving around on your own officer's body cam before you collected all the surveillance evidence from all these other neighborhoods and these businesses and these ring cameras and these homes and all this other stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for hopping in. I'm bossy. I know that song. I appreciate you. Of course they knew there was a light colored or white car because they were driving all over the body cam, the Banfield, when they're doing their task force of busting underage drinkers. And when you have 22,000, what's the most common color of a vehicle, yo? White or black? Of course. Yes, we can definitely. We have, like I said, drop box, drop box, drop box, drop box, boom. Yeah, we got surveillance. We know the route. We know the times. We got them on footage. We got all this. How do you know you have them on footage when you couldn't even give us a side view? I shouldn't say us. The community there. The ones that deserve to have a photo of a vehicle of the person that committed these crimes. Because they were trying to find them, right? So if you're going to have all of this and you can't even give us a frickin' photo, even if it's grainy as shit, you can't give us a photo? But you have the timeline and you have all the surveillance and you have all the... Why are you giving us a frickin' photo that isn't even the same model? Why are you giving us the photo? I appreciate you. Thank you for your hard work, your efforts. You're an MVP in the community. I wish I could be around more. I apologize. I know how hard it is. Trust me, and I appreciate you for real. But for real, where's the picture? Where's the picture? It's just not cool. It's not cool. The former homicide investigator added that it is unclear to him why a Moscow gas station clerk found video footage of a white sedan passing by early on the morning of November 13th before Ellie did. Well, because they're the ones that called in the tip. I mean, right? Maybe they hadn't stopped by the gas station at that point. The person, hey, I got time. I'm going to take a minute and see. Right? Fox reported that on November 14th, detectives collected 8 hours of surveillance footage from a local gas station about a mile away from the unenlivened scene, but it was a clerk who saw a white sedan passing by the station on footage at 3:45 a.m. the morning of the crime. Do you think that if Ellie had that footage, do you think that picture would have came out? Do you think that Ellie would have said, okay, we've taken a copy of this because clearly it was shit footage? Do you think Ellie took the footage and then handed it back to the gas station and said, okay, here you go, guys, and then somebody took a picture of it afterwards? No, somebody took a picture of it before, then contacted them. Damn straight. Hey, people can hate, but it is what it is. We got the big hearts and the big boots. And that's what you have to do to maintain the atmosphere. It is what it is. The only people that don't like it are the ones that aren't about the peace, positivity, and progress. So it is what it is. If we're not on the same path, we don't need to be. Shout out Butter. Damn, didn't even have the right amount. Like, come on. Didn't even have the right amount when you first came in and started talking. Didn't even have the right amount. Stick to cooking shows, buddy. The digital evidence submitted were received by police. They will never see the light of day because of their exculpatory value. I think Bethany has the exculpatory evidence in a statement. That's just how I feel. Why didn't Bethany or Dylan call the property manager management? What is the name of the person or persons who regularly collected monies from the tenants at 1122 King/Queen, assigned by 1122 King LLC? The agent assigned to the 1112 King LLC. By the way, check out Truth. Just type in Truth and Transparency 1122 King, and it'll pop up for you guys. Trust me. It's good info. It's a little graphic too. Heads up. But the shit's real. The shit's real. That's why I think something with the grub truck, those messages. We're going to be, by the way, shout out Sleuthing. We're going to be going into the some of the backgrounds of the Twitch names and stuff when it comes to the grub truck. We're going to be coming out with some of that. The agent assigned to the 1122 King LLC at the time when the crimes were committed was named Team Idaho Real Estate Incorporated, located at 204 South Main Street, Moscow, Idaho. On December 9th, 2022, less than a month after the crime, Team Idaho Real Estate Incorporated is no longer the agent for 1122 King LLC. Team Idaho Real Estate Incorporated is, upon search, permanently closed. Crazy, huh? Yeah, I apologize, everybody. I woke up Saturday morning and I was feeling like, I think I was wanting to feel better more than I really was. And halfway through, I was just like, I was not feeling good. After that episode, I was. So yeah, I ended up just resting all day Sunday. I'm trying to push. I think Saturday I pushed it too much. I had people telling me, "Hey man, you gotta slow down." I'm like, I can't. It's this drive inside of me. I can't help it. Sometimes I need people to be like, "Yo, you gotta come on, just get some rest." Sometimes I work too damn hard. I can't help it. That's what I am. It's what I do. It's who I am. And here's the link for this video as well. Idaho4 revealed. Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of me here real quick. Sorry. I thought it was showing. There we go. No, that's not big enough. Let me go zoom in. There we go. Okay, so it says Team Idaho Property Management. As we grieve the tragic loss of our friends and community members, Team Idaho would like to direct those who are in need to the resources being made available by the University of Idaho. Times like these are when we need each other the most. We encourage everyone to reach out to their loved ones and lean on the collective strength of our community. Team Idaho Property Management diverts attention away from them and the house named King Road LLC towards the University of Idaho, much like Dan Etsy directs the attention of others from himself to the University of Idaho Golden Boy, who is the PhD that Kohberger was on track to earning. Idaho4 revealed. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So, on December 29th, let me shrink it a little bit. There we go. On December 29th, Team Idaho Property Management posted the following message. Posted their following message expressing their condolences on their Facebook page. A day later, Kohberger was taken into custody. Why did it take more than a month for Team Idaho to express their condolences? Again, Idaho4 revealed. Great videos, great questions. Definitely check out the Tunnel Vision episode. You will enjoy it. A lot of questions. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be sharing that one here in a second too. I'm pulling it up. So let me get rid of this for a second. Here, actually, because I'm in the middle of pulling it up. Let me pull it up. Okay, there's a couple of them I'm going to share with you. So there's one from TNT on Small World Software. That's a very interesting one you'll want to check out. This one is the 2019 to 2021 House History and Players from TNT. You definitely want to check that out. And there was a part 1 and a part 2. So it says right here, Team Idaho Property Management, this is December 29th. December 29th. Team Idaho Property Management would like to express our deepest condolences to the family and friends of the victims of the tragedy. We just read it. Why wasn't this put out the same day? Why wasn't this put out the next day? Why wasn't this put out when they had a memorial? Good question. Idaho4 revealed again. Why December 29th? I am just for a little bit. Maybe about another 15 minutes or so. And then we'll be back on tonight for our body cam episode. And I'll share that link with you guys. As I'm not going to watch this whole episode. I'm just kind of showing you guys a little bit of this. And then I'm going to share the link so you guys can check out the rest. We're only checking out about half of it. But there's a lot of questions. Definitely, seriously, check out these episodes regarding the 1122 property from TNT as well. Yeah, it's very convenient. Very convenient. Oh, I plan on it. I'm gonna get me a little nap in between the show tonight. Because trust me, I'm about 65%. It's about where I'm at. So I do need to get a little bit of rest in between each show, but I got to be doing my show tonight too. November 8th, 2022, 5 days prior to the unaliving at King Road, Team Idaho Real Estate Incorporated files an annual report, keeping them active until December 2023. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Here is the report, Debbie Spurgeon. Again, here's the link to this video, because you'll definitely want to check it out for yourself so you can have all this stuff on your full screen. Whole bunch of questions. Bluebird. Remember Bluebird? A lot of businesses. Very good questions, Idaho4 revealed. Great videos. Great videos. I appreciate their hard work and their effort over there at Idaho4 revealed. What's up, AR? Isn't your buddy doing a show on Grub Truck right now? You know, it's crazy to think that there used to be a garage right there in front of this property, you know? It's crazy to think that. There was a garage right there. It's crazy. Definitely check out TNT's episodes on the 1122 property. You'd be amazed. We one time we watched the whole zoning when they actually discussed the zoning of when they were going to be redoing the whole block right there. It was kind of interesting watching the whole zoning live stream. It was crazy. Like how they like talk about it and how they structure the block and how they designate and zone and all that stuff. Very, very crazy. The house where 4 University of Idaho students were unalived November will be demolished, school officials said Friday. The owner of the home in Moscow ordered to give it to the university at the school accepted. University President Scott Green said in a memo to students and employees. This is a healing step, and he blocks you as quick as Coffin Daffer does. We reached out to him at the beginning of the year about that. Block. Right? Okay, dude. This is a healing step and removes a physical structure where the crime that shook our community was committed. Green wrote, no timeline has been set for the demo, but the university spokesperson Jody Walker told the Statesman the goal is to have the house knocked down by the end of the semester. Why? Because they want it is gone quick as shit, no? Oh, you're good, AR. I just know that your buddy's probably doing an important stream, so I'm surprised to see you in, that's all. I'd be there supporting my buddy if he was doing an important stream. That's why I ask. Definitely we'll be going into the body cam tonight, if you want to check it out. We'll be going into that stuff, part 1. We'll be doing that. Definitely, if you missed the beginning of the episode, definitely check out the beginning. Pretty interesting stuff when it comes to the unconscious topic and some of the other stuff that we got into. I'm going to go ahead and end the show now. Here is the link again to this Idaho4 revealed video. Like I said, we're about halfway through. Go ahead and check the rest of it out yourself. Get the articles that we were kind of showing on the screen here. You know, these different, get them on your full screen. Take your screenshots, check them out. When you actually check out a lot of the stuff with the history of the property and the stuff going on in the background, we did it in the beginning of the year, and I'm telling you, it is creepy as all fucking hell when you get into the background. That's why I almost feel like maybe, you know, with the stuff about Kaylee being a sleuther, and man, you start to uncover what we were uncovering, and then the great work beyond what we even did that TNT could offer, because she's like the ultimate sleuther there. Like you watch that stuff and you just be like, yeah, I wonder. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you for hanging out this morning. I'm just going to get a little bit of rest, get some more medicine in me, take another one of them COVID tests. Fingers crossed. And we'll be back tonight. Like I said, I have it set for 7 Central, 8 Eastern, but I might bump it up a half an hour more, 6:30 Central, 7 Eastern, just to give you guys a little bit more. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the support. Appreciate you. And we'll see you tonight. Thank you, everybody, so much. You guys mean everything to me.